sex is scary. We have John and Mel here to share their thing. So with that, I'll give you John.
Thank you. Like you said, my name is John. I'm a grateful recovering addict.
John.
I want to thank the convention committee for asking me to come out and be of service to this area. And, you know, I'm so grateful to always be of service to NA and this area. This convention has a special place in my heart. And every year I always try to, let people know, especially the newcomers know, about this. And I say that because before I get back to really fear, but before I got clean this time, I remember I was in a halfway house, and they took us to a convention. I'm not sure if it was this one. It was years ago, and it was in a different location. And I remember I was probably 10 years younger. I remember they brought me here, and at that time I was clean, but I didn't have any confidence. I didn't know who I was. I was afraid of everyone. I didn't know if you liked me. I didn't know if I liked myself, and I really didn't get to enjoy it. I didn't have people that were letting me know what it was about. I just know that they took us in this van, and I came to the convention, and there was meetings, and I didn't really know about NA too much as I do know now, and it was just it was scary. I was feared up. I didn't know how to talk to people. I was that little kid that used drugs to cover things up. And now, I try to let the newcomer know what the convention's about, how you can network with people in different areas, especially this convention. This is in my backyard, and to really try to open up and get people to enjoy themselves clean. Because when I was a kid, fear really ruled my life. I remember at a very young age, I was always loving and carefree, and I liked having fun, but at a certain point in my life, I realized that I didn't think my true self was good enough for anyone. I could be myself with my mom, my dad, and maybe my brother, but going outside and trying to interact with other people, kids at school, trying to hang out with my friends, I never felt that I could fit in, that fear of me being really me, who I really am inside, was not good enough for any of you guys, that I was this person that wasn't interesting to you, that you would want to hang out with me. And this fear that I built up in my head for no reason, really held me back with actually having true friendships. I grew up in, I had a split household. My dad lived in Philly, my mom lived in Jersey, and when I was in Philly, I could kind of be myself. I had some friends, and I could be me, but I remember I spent most of my time with my mom and my stepdad in Jersey. And when I was in school, I'd be that one kid that I'd be sitting there in class, and my anxiety would get so high, or even if we went on the playground, that I start sweating. I don't know if anyone else can relate, but just being somewhere, and that anxiety and that nervousness, you just have this sweat, and you'd see the sweat stains in my armpits and my shirts, and I just couldn't feel comfortable. And I remember this, and even when I was getting a little older, I remember my older brother. He was my stepbrother, and I wanted to hang out with him so much. We were cool when we were hanging out at home, but when we went out to hang out with kids in the neighborhood, he would I don't want to say torment me, but he would always put me down to where I didn't feel I was good enough, and then that in turn made me feel that I wasn't good enough for the kids that were my age, because we all hung out. All the ages. There was this little community at Birches West and Washington Township, and everyone from all ages would hang out. But when he was around and I would hang out with him and everyone else, he made it a point to show that he was the bigger brother, and that like he was the cool one, and it just like perpetuated this like this feeling and these emotions in my head that I wasn't good enough. And like after he left the household and I was in high school, like I had this like in me that like I didn't feel good enough. Like my parents put me into sports. I played football. I did wrestling. Like I did everything that you would think a teenage, kid would do. And like I put up a good show, but like deep down inside, like I was like this, like I was so scared to let you know who I was, or just me being me. Like when I would go home, I like be in my room and be with my mom, my dad, and like I could be me. I'd be my goofy self, my funny self, drawing, watching my cartoons, and I couldn't be that. I couldn't be that John when I was in like the outside world. And like I remember like my older brother, like he really couldn't go anywhere unless he brought me. Cause like he was like crazy, and like my parents were like, well, if he brings John, he won't get crazy. But like when he brought me, he just showed me the crazy. He would get me to drink, he'd get me to smoke. He tried to get me to take pills. I was like, no, that's where I draw the line. That's where I draw the line. And but like I remember when he gave me like the alcohol, or he gave me the weed to smoke with him and his friends. Like I remember having this like little glimmer of like that anxiety like was gone. That fear of people like wanting them to like me, but not knowing how to get you to like me. Like it subsided just for a little bit. Just for a little bit. And then within like a little, like, I guess like half hour after I was drinking or smoking, the anxiety would come back. But like I had a little taste of it. So like when I get into high school, I remember like I was on the wrestling team, and like my parents moved to a bigger house, and like I met new kids that were like in my it's like a smaller development. I met them, and I'm like, as a person individually, and I'm guessing a lot of other recovering addicts, we're very adaptable. We can hide a lot of things, being chameleons and this and that. And like when I moved into this new development, I met these new kids. I'm like, oh, this is a fresh start. Like not like the other kids I was hanging out with didn't like me, but like I could like change who I was. Like I'm this jock now. Like I could show them what I do, and again, I had to like try to fit in and not feel comfortable. And like I remember like they would steal their mom's like alcohol, or like they could get weed themselves, so I didn't have to go to my brother and hang out with his friends to do what I wanted to do. So I remember hanging out with them, and I was able to smoke with them and drink with them. And like I remember that like at that moment in high school, that smoking and drinking and popping pills, I could finally be who I wanted to be. I could be the outgoing John. I could be the John that could talk to women, talk to girls, and I could be that crazy person that I thought you wanted me to be. And I remember at that moment, after doing some step work now, looking back, at that moment I started to change myself. I used to change myself and mold myself into this person that I thought that everyone else wanted. They call them masks. I started putting all these masks on. And like the funny thing about that is like as I got older, those masks become like real. They become like my personality. Like I don't see them as masks. I see them of who I have to be, who I am. And like it really isn't me, but I played that part for so long that it just becomes me. Like whenever you tell a lie so much, you finally believe the lie. That's what happened to me. And like I still did good in school. I went to college, and like I remember when I was in college, I went to college for like media arts and animation, and same stuff I did when I was a kid, drawing. That core part of me like never was gone, but like it was so deep down. But I remember when I was in college, like I became like Dr. Heckle and Mr. Hyde. When I was in high school, when I was in college, I go to college. I was in Philadelphia, and I'd commute back and forth. And I remember when I was in college, I'd hang out with all the people that I felt were just like me. I could be me with those people at that time. But when I left school, I came back to Jersey and I was hanging out with the people that I thought I wanted to be. You know, this person that I created that I started to like. Because people started to like me. You know, women started to like me. I had the car. I had the money. I had the job. And it was like this battle. And like, I started to get into like harder drugs. You know, the party scene got crazier, the raves, and then the Percocets, and all that stuff. And, like, I remember at one point, like, I don't even know how I graduated college, but I remember, like, at one point, like, it was the one side of me, that side of me that was this mask, just, like, took over. You know, I graduated college. I didn't have those friends anymore. I only had the friends that were using, and the friends that were using were going to harder drugs just like me. The friends that weren't doing hard drugs, they were gone. They were gone. They got jobs. They graduated college. They met with, you know, their wife or husband, and I remember like that. When I graduated college, and it was like all on me now, that old me, that person that went to college, like the draw, that fun-loving, that caring, that goofy John, was gone. I buried him so deep because like the fear of letting other people know who I was so strong that I didn't want anyone to know who I was. I created this person that I thought that I wanted because I thought that's what you guys wanted from me. That's what I thought was successful, that I thought that I could get through life with. And I was wrong because you know what, that fear that I had drove me to a very long road of destruction, you know, homelessness. You know, I remember, it's funny because that fear, like, I was so afraid of how these people thought of me that, like, when I got into these harder drugs, like, and going into Camden and Kensington, like, I remember, like, that fear. I didn't let that fear rule my life anymore, but the fucking drugs ruled my life. The drugs controlled me, you know, putting me in bad situations. You know, the fear of the cops were gone. Like, these healthy fears that, like, some people should have were, like, totally out the window. Like, I remember going into Camden and, like, not fearing getting arrested, not fearing getting a gun put to my head, not fearing getting a knife put to my back. None of that. The only fear at that point, when I was like, this is probably when I'm like 28 now, 27, was getting beat for drugs, getting arrested by the cops. Because if I got arrested by the cops, they're gonna arrest me. I'm gonna go to jail. I'm gonna go to 7-day or the turtle suit, and I'm gonna be sick. And like by that time, the only thing I feared was the cops and getting dope sick. That's it. And like that's what really ruled my life. And like this fear like controlled me for so long. And I remember like I would go to rehab, come out, and like I come to these meetings. I go to the meetings and like I go to the meetings and that little John would come out again. The one that was a little kid that like didn't know if you liked me, was afraid to be who I was. You know, it was that whole cycle all over again. When I was a kid, I'm like, I don't know how to be me. You know? You're not going to like me. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to act. I don't even know how to look in a meeting. You ever been in like become new and you're in a meeting and you're sitting there and you're like, you know, you look at the person speaking, but you don't know where else to look. You know, for me, I was like, I don't know where else to look. You know, look this way, they might look at me. Why is he looking at you? That anxiety, like really, like that fear and anxiety, like started taking over again. And like, I didn't know how you guys were getting clean. I didn't know how you guys stayed clean. I'd see people have like raise their hand for like 18 months, multiple years, and I'm like, I don't know how that can be me. You know. I can barely be me sitting in this meeting. How can I be me for a whole year? That was terrifying. It really was, you know. But I remember, fast forward a little bit, in and out of these rooms, I had like one glimpse, of being me. That was this last time I was clean, and by that time I had 2 kids. One was mine, one is not mine, but he is my son. His father's not in the life, and I've raised him. Well, been in his life, since he was like 18 months old, and I was trying to get them out of DYFS. Their mother was using, we were using together, and she wouldn't stop using. I'm the one who had to try to get them back, and that last time around, I failed them. I did everything DYFS wanted. I got the apartment. I got help from the state to get the apartment, to get the beds, to get everything. And I had a sponsor, who's still my sponsor today, and I didn't do any work. I don't know if it's a fear of not doing it, but I know that when I was clean that time, I was doing everything they asked me to do, but I had this fear of like being alone, I would attach myself to a woman, make her my higher power, and then anything I had to do, or like anything I had like worries about or had to talk to, I talked to her. I wouldn't talk to my sponsor. I wouldn't broaden my network with other men. Like the only thing I had was my sponsor, who I never called, and her. And then when things hit the fan for me mentally, nothing really went wrong, but like mentally it hit the fan. I went and used. And then everything I did was washed away with DYFS. And their mother wasn't doing anything. And then I'm like, I can't do nothing now. And like fear of coming back to the rooms, saying I messed up. And like I didn't really do any work on myself, so the fear I already had with everyone, and then coming back and picking up a white key tag again, I wasn't doing it. In my mind, it was just easier to keep using. Cover up the pain, cover whatever emotions I had up with drugs. And like I'm so glad that I had just a little glimmer of hope when I was here last time, that like I only was out there for maybe like a month and a half, but like I destroyed everything I built up in a month and a half. I destroyed it. Sold everything in my apartment, lost my job, got arrested by the cops again, and the only person I called when it was like at the end of the road that time, because I was too afraid to call my sponsor, because I didn't make a connection with him. He's a great man, would help me with anything. I didn't have a connection with him. It was just a sponsor by name. We went over a little bit, but like, thank God the woman that I was dating that broke up with me because I was using, she was in the rooms, still is. I called her up and told her, I need help. And thank God she is a good woman. And she helped me get into another rehab. And like I remember coming back this time, and I'm like, because I still didn't get this program. Truly, I didn't get it. I didn't know how you got clean. I didn't know how you stayed clean. I didn't know how you got better lives. I didn't know how you stayed happy and got through these like trials and tribulations, clean. And I remember, like, my desperation for a better way of life was greater than that fear of facing reality. Because, like, getting high, like, I didn't have to deal with no reality. I created this fantasy. And, like, when I was a kid, fantasy I loved. Even now, fantasy is something I still work on. Because I can go off in fantasy any single day. But like I know now that when that starts to happen, I can call someone. It can be in any area of my life. With either like right now, all off topic, but like crypto. My fantasy is like I got money in cryptocurrency, and then I'm gonna be a millionaire. It's gonna happen. Listen, I look at my crypto wallet at least 7 times a day. Obsessive and compulsive comes out in any area of my life. When I stop in one area, it's like a whack-a-mole comes up in another area, you know? But at least today, I know what it is, you know? I still do it on most days. I think it's like a healthier fantasy, because it's like I don't put any more money in it, but it's nice to look at. But, what was I saying? When I came back. She took me to rehab. She drove me to rehab, and, I remember I didn't know how it worked. I didn't believe it worked. I just believed that you guys believed that it worked. Because obviously it's working in your lives, and I'm not doing anything, so obviously it's not working in my life, so I believe that you guys believe I'm going to follow you guys. Even to this day, literally today, I came down here myself after work, and I called up two people. Well, I called up a few people, but the two main people was my sponsor and my sponsee brother. You know? And to this day, I still hold on to my sponsor's coattails like there's no tomorrow. Because you know what? I've seen, felt, and know that sponsorship is the heartbeat of this program to the fullest. If you want to get the most out of this program, find a sponsor, get with your sponsor, do step work, and man, life is like endless, the possibilities. But like I remember when I came back, like I said, I didn't believe, but I believe that you guys believed. And so I was like, all right, you know, I'm feared up. I don't know what's going on. I had to sign my rights over to my children. That's what I had to do. The DYFS was like, well, you either do what we told you to do already and get the apartment, this and that, and this and that, or you sign your rights over, you know, and we'll see what happens. And like, that was a hard pill to swallow when I had like 30 days clean, you know. They say we have to do it for ourselves, not others. And like I really took that to heart and like consulted with my sponsor and was like I was crying, you know. Their mother didn't want to do it. It was up to me. And like the thing about it was like I signed my rights over, like they can be adopted. And this family can take them and not want me to be in their lives at all. So, like, my mind is, I talked to my sponsor about this, like, if I do this, at that time, I'm bad with numbers and time, but, like, both my kids are teenagers now, but this was, almost 5 years ago? So I'm like, well, if they do that, and then I can't see them until they're 18, because then they have the right to see if they want to talk to me. Like I'm trying to play these scenarios out, you know. But I was like, I gotta either I go and do what they want me to do, and possibly die again, or just sign the rights over and do what I gotta do for myself, and pray that they want to be in my life when they're 18 or 19, you know. Leave it up to God. Feared up, and I signed the papers, you know, and it was very hard, but like, I got to do this for myself. I truly got to do this for myself, so I can be a better father for them in the future. They want to be a part of my life, and I did it. And like to fast forward a little bit, you know, my parents took them in, you know, God bless their souls. I remember coming back. Like, I was in this halfway house in North Jersey, and, having to come back here and, put my hand up again. You know, well, this is during COVID, so we had, the Zoom meeting. So, I did it on Zoom on some of the meetings down here, but, really coming back here and, showing my face again, I was one of those people that would come in and out, for a decade or so. And, put my hand up and asking for help and, needing a job and, calling my sponsor daily and like reaching out to people, reaching out to men. Like that was like one of the hardest things I had to do, was call other men and say, hey, what's going on? You know? Like not knowing who I am and trying to make these connections and like working on myself through the steps, not knowing how it works. Just knowing that you guys did it and it worked in your lives, so I'm going to do it to see how it works in my life. And like I haven't stopped since. Well, I lie. I just moved, so like the past like month and a half, I'm still trying to get like reorganized and like, you know, get my like, I have like this Serenity desk, you know. I got like all my NA literature that like my sponsors got me, like I love limited edition stuff. And he got me all these like books and like, you know, this feng shui thing going, and like my house is like semi there right now, but like that area is like the last area, I don't know why, to really put together. But I haven't stopped working on myself. When I was in the recovery house, I was living in a recovery house for like 2 years. You know? Never stopped, because you know, once I got a taste of like the process of working on myself through the steps, like that's been my new drug. Honestly, NA and the program is like my new drug. I want more of it. And the more I get from the NA and work the step process and the sponsorship and being a part of a home group, like I've seen my life grow exponentially. Like there's been a lot of things that's happened in that time where like I've made mistakes. You know, I was working with my buddy, and like before, like my mouth would get me in trouble. Like when I was a kid, I said like I didn't really know how to talk. Once I came in here and I started having friends, I talked too much. And like I didn't know how. I went from one extreme to the other. A true addict. You know, through the steps, I've been able to like really balance it out, and like really work on myself, and like. In that process, like, you know, I told you I had to sign my rights over and everything like that. It was like I was at my sponsor's barbecue, 4th of July Day barbecue he has at his house, and I just had 2 years clean, and that barbecue, Dyfus was finally out of our lives, and I was able to pick my kids up. Now, my kids have been in the system for 6 years now. And the only time I had them alone for one moment, when I was getting my apartment and like I relapsed, I had them for like a half hour when I overdosed, because my brightest idea was to use when I had them alone and overdosed, and they saved my life. Fast forward to the 4th of July. Having a little over 2 years clean now. It was the first time Dyfus was out of our lives for good. And I was able to pick my kids up in 6 years by myself. Put them in my car, you know, and drive them to my sponsor's house. First place I took them by myself was to my sponsor's house with all you guys from NA. You know, and I remember me and my sponsor talk about it every so often, and like the emotion of like that moment, for me and especially for him, was just like this intimate moment that we had, because it wouldn't have gotten there without this program, without me and him and our connection, and me facing my fear of life clean. You know, and facing my fear of who I am, facing my fear of trying to be me in front of you guys, the true me, which I'm still working on. Because when I came to this convention, I was like, I worked, and I had to wait for the sofa to get delivered, and then like I'm trying to get dressed, and like I run out of the house, and I'm like, I'm in my like, you know, relaxed clothes at home, you know, and I run right back inside. I'm like, oh no, I can't wear this, you know, I gotta wear something nice. for some reason, that fear of like, just coming as me, I had to put up a nice look. This is me already, but like I had to change. I couldn't just go the way I was. I had to wear what I'm wearing now to come to the convention because it's a big to-do in my mind. That thing that I tell myself that I have to look a certain way when I go to certain places. Now, I try to figure out whether that's actually me just being me and I want to look nice and present myself nice, or am I doing it to show you guys and not for myself. These things that I pontificate sometimes. But at the end of the day, I'm like, whatever. I like who I am. I like the things I have. I worked hard on it because once a time ago, I was a homeless person on the bridge in Camden and Kensington. Not caring about anything. So, like the amount of work I put in, and I haven't stopped, has given me these set of principles and outlook on myself of who I was, what I changed to be this active drug user because I didn't like myself, to now where I can shed those layers of fear and start to be myself more and more each day, when certain times of the day that fear will pop up. I was so glad I was able to come here and speak, but I wanted someone to come with me. I wanted a convention buddy. I don't know about anyone else. Sometimes you don't want to go to a convention by yourself. You want to go with someone and yo, let's go to this meeting, let's go to that meeting. But I've learned that yeah, I would like that, but I'm comfortable with myself to come to this convention because you know what? I know so many of you guys. Because I've networked, I've talked, I've let people know who I am. And I came here by myself. I threw my music on, I got some gas, I got an energy drink, I threw my country music on, and I just jammed out driving here. And I was like, well, once I get there, I'll find someone I know. And then as soon as I get here, I'm touring at 50 different places because I want to say hello to everyone. And that love that is here, this is what I'm this is what I wanted. This is what I feared I wouldn't get. But I'm getting it in this program by learning to be myself. And I just again, I just want to thank all you guys for coming out, to enjoy this day and get another day clean, and the convention committee to ask me to be of service to you guys. That's all I got.
Awesome.